Excited to welcome to the show Confidence Staveley. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
We are so thrilled to have you on the show today because you are Africa's most celebrated female in the cybersecurity space, and we're excited to get to know about how you got started in this field, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about your role in the cybersecurity space.
I'm not going to be one of those who would maybe come and tell you a really grand story about how they were so intentional and got into the field. I'll be very honest. It was a very good, it was a very good coincidence, or it was a very good way where the world, well, let's say the universe made me realize this was where I was supposed to be. For starts, I had always been in technology. I was supposed to be a medical doctor, but my parents calculation. And if you know anything about Africans, and I think large part of Asian communities, it'll be that parents sort of like pick very successful careers and then talk their children over the years as they grow up into wanting to be that person. So much so that the child adopted as their own vision for themselves, So that happened to me, and my parents had talked to me about being a medical doctor for so long that I thought, you know what? I think I actually want to be a medical doctor. And so during my gap year of finishing what we call secondary school, but the rest of the world calls high school, my parents, I think, couldn't afford for me to go into university. I mean, in retrospect now, as a parent, I think that was what happened. And they said, you know what, take a gap year, prepare, and next year you go to school. But they didn't want the boys running around me and maybe getting me pregnant. So they said, you know what, go to this computer school. Then IT schools were called computer school. So go and learn how to use a computer and don't get idle. So it was in that time, learning at that computer school, that I got to know how to use a computer for the first time, got to know how to use Word applications and things like that. And then I progressed to learning coding. And my days, I was always so excited. I felt alive. I was invigorated whenever I was there. My eyes were sparkling. So I knew this was where I wanted to be. That medical dream, I realized was my parents. This was where I wanted to be. So I went back home. I didn't have a computer then. So I made slides on cardboard papers. And I made a presentation to my parents why technology had to be a place for me. So my parents said, you know what, you go ahead and do it. And I went ahead, did an advanced diploma in software engineering, had the first degree in IT and business information systems. And it was during my master's, when I was doing IT management, that I got to know about cryptography, and I picked it up as an elective, and that was where my journey to cybersecurity began. And so while I started off just wanting to do IT as IT, I didn't have a major. I just wanted to do a lot of coding and stuff around what was cool, trying to find my way around. And then later on, I would say a stroke of fate led me into finding about cybersecurity and finding even deeper purpose and love for cybersecurity within technology. So that, in a not so short a nutshell, is my story of how I got into cybersecurity. It was from cryptography. I got a lot of mentorship from my lecturer at the time, and I got learning, self-learning, and all of that. And I got started on my first opportunity, and we're here.
Oh my word. Well, I know that it's not the path that your parents had originally planned, but I would go as far to say I think it might be the best choice that you could have possibly made, and a beautiful
Absolutely.
accident. Well, I think that there's so much work to be done in the cybersecurity space. And I have to just kind of mention, you're wearing a sweatshirt that is your CyberSafe Foundation. So Let's talk about how you became the founder and executive director at CyberSafe, and maybe tell us about what it does when it comes to Africa specifically.
I wasn't driving awareness intentionally about, cyber risk, across the African continent like I'm doing now. I was just doing pockets of things, delivering services to enterprises, until my mom became a victim of cybercrime. When this happened, it was like a reset for me, because it really hit close to home. She lost her life savings, and we're able to sort of like help her, but like experiencing that from that close a range was, a whole lot for me. And I just knew that I didn't want anyone else to go through all of the trauma, all of the struggle, all of what happened, that led up to and after the event. So I wanted to really drive awareness, because what has happened in Africa is there's been a very positive uptake of technology. A lot of people are taking up technology, but they're not aware of the risk and the responsibilities. I want to really, really dwell on responsibilities, because sometimes people know that, okay, there can be a bad thing that comes with this, as much as, they'll be good. And I use the analogy of a car, right? A car help you commute from point A to point B, but the car can also be, a risk. You could die in your car. Maybe if the brakes fail, you could ram into another vehicle and die, So as much as a car delivers mobility, it could also be a death trap, depending on how well you maintain that car. So that when you wake up in the morning, you want to check your brakes, you want to look at your dashboard if there are any alerts there, and do the right things. But we have put cars, in quotes, in people's hands, and for people to do business with, and they don't understand what to do around the brakes, and understanding what to do around, all of these little things that I've given as analogies. So I wanted to fill that gap of what the private sector is doing around cybersecurity and risk on the continent, and what the government is doing. And increasingly that gap is widening. We're seeing, according to statistics, that it's costing the African continent over $3 billion annually from cybercrime. And I can't tell you how much that is also affecting digital trust and affecting all of the innovation that needs to happen for development in Africa. So for me, I set out with Cybersecurity Foundation to bridge the gap, especially around education and capacity building from the perspective of awareness, capacity building from the perspective of building the talent required to protect ecosystem from cyber threats and all of that. So we're driving safe and inclusive access, digital access across Africa. So keywords are safe, and then inclusion, because a lot of times women are also excluded. I mean, just to put some perspective to it, women make up 50% of the population in Africa, but women only contribute 9% to the workforce in cybersecurity on the continent. 9%. Yes, wow. I like that you're that surprised, because it's shocking stats, but it's a reality, and we need to do something about it. And I am playing a role, because I can't do it alone. There are many other players, but I am also contributing massively to changing that narrative. And it's a pleasure. It's a challenging job to do, but every day the success stories, seeing girls get jobs, enjoy up to 400 or 700% increase in income, really shows that cybersecurity isn't just a means to protect enterprises, but could also be a tool for socioeconomic impact and growth. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just amazed by the statistics and how you got into this and the impact that you've already made in such a short period of time. And the Cybersecurity Foundation is powerful, but you also have created not just one organization, but you've also become a mentor for other women in the space. So these are two tandem activities that you're running. You're a very busy woman. This is called Cyber Girls. Tell us about how you are mentoring women specifically.
Cyber Girls is a brainchild that makes me have butterflies every time, because I mean, I became conscious of the fact that I walked into most rooms, and maybe I was one of two, and because it happened for so long, I mean, I just shared that I'd been in technology for almost all my life. It became normalized until I had certain conversations with people, and I started questioning why we didn't have enough women. And it was very clear that we didn't have enough women skilled enough to take up those roles. Aside the policy issues and aside this, all of the many other issues, but if we wanted to hire people, how many of them were women that have the skills? And so I said, okay, that makes sense. We don't want to be handed down opportunities because we are females, right? We want to be able to compete favorably.
I love to hear your passion, because it comes from a place of, we can do this, you can do this, let me show you how, and pushing all of those negative narratives out of the way and formulating a safe space, a cyber safe space, for women to succeed. And I am so grateful that someone like you exists, because sometimes you need a model to see that it's possible, and you're setting that example every single day, and you're showing up and showing women and young girls that they can follow in your footsteps. Look what I've done, you can do it too.
Absolutely. I mean, I always say that women oftentimes cannot be what they can't see. So the more they see, the more they become. And we have our mentors also spread across, 5 continents in the world, which also is opening up their minds to the global field of cybersecurity. You're not going to come up this program thinking, you know what, I'm very good and I'm great in my country. No, you are going to be great for the global cybersecurity community, and that cross fertilization has been phenomenally successful.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that it might have started in Nigeria, that you've made this difference, but it's become an international. You have become a face, a name, a household name in the cybersecurity realm, which is really neat. And let's talk about Africa for a second, just the pressing cybersecurity issues that Africa is facing today, so that whoever's watching this might think, maybe I can join in and help. What's going on in Africa, and maybe Nigeria specifically?
The work we've done, I mean, has really, like you mentioned, really started off with Nigeria, but it's increasingly spreading. Our second cohort for Cyber Girls, for example, was in 7 countries. Our third cohort starting off next month is in 22 countries. So we opened up applications, and 45 African countries, we had people that are applying from those countries, 45 of them. So we're getting a feel very much, although starting off from Nigeria, what the African space is like, as it has to do with cyber threats. There are a lot of things that are interwoven, and we have in common. The first thing is that there's innovation at the speed that Africa has never seen. And I think much in many parts of the world in terms of innovation, but we are also not seeing that same energy brought into securing those innovations. So we see a lot of tools brought into the marketplace, and they're not secure enough. We also see a lot of people taking up, of course, technology without knowing the risk. So, people are getting scammed every day. There's also hush-hush thing around cyber attacks. We don't have any I'm looking for a word for it, but we don't have any incentives to actually report cybercrime. So we have a lot of cyber attacks swept under the carpet in this part of the world, which doesn't allow for enough learning, which doesn't also allow for consumers to be protected sufficiently. I mean, what this means is that my data could be in a data breach, and the person that is the custodian of that data is not obliged to notify me, for example, that this has happened. So that's having a ripple effect across the ecosystem. So because although innovation is a good thing, with not enough incentives to prioritize cybersecurity, it's a problem. And we also know of the talent shortage issues. Africa is also really getting the heat. And I look at it also from the perspective of that being a cyber threat by itself, because if you don't have enough defenders, then of course you won't have enough defenses implemented, and which of course creates a loophole. Another key issue that I see is we have the barriers quite high for entry, just like everywhere else. We have a lot of people, a lot of interest in getting into cybersecurity, but the entry-level roles are really sparse. So this is where, for example, I am leveraging my influence to reach out. So even if there's vast opportunities, I'm knocking on those doors, and adamantly so, not getting weary, and saying, where are the jobs? Let's just get our interns in, So we're creating those opportunities and creating those bridges to ensure that the girls that gain the skills don't just sit around and get tired and move on to something else, but they actually get their hands dirty and busy. So these are some of the issues that are really, really paramount on the continent.
If you were to inspire women who are watching this specifically, who might not even be involved with Cyber Girls yet, what would you say to a woman who's thinking about stepping into the cybersecurity space and is interested in pursuing a career?
I would say we want you here. We want your color. We want all the spice you bring. We want all your innate skills that's invaluable here. And regardless of how it looks, it's something that you would definitely enjoy if this is your passion. It's a very fulfilling career. All you need to do is start from somewhere, start from the fundamentals, get the basics and nail them very well. Determine and channel your efforts to one area for starts where you think you can build your skill set increasingly in that area. And then from there on, after you think you have significantly gotten enough skills, you can then widen out your knowledge. But I mean, it's something you can definitely do, and you can do very well. Don't listen to the naysayers. They're always going to be there. Girl, wear your crown. You're as good as anyone else, even better, if I dare say. And I'm just going to share a personal mantra that I definitely think that you can imbibe. The mantra is a nursery rhyme, and it goes thus: good, better, best. I will never rest until my good is better and my better best. As long as you continuously go on the trajectory of growth, you will not be ignorable. So you will be someone who will be of so much value, and will be sought after.
I am so inspired already. I've been starting my understanding of cybersecurity, and so I feel enlightened, and I'm sure you at home are feeling the same way. Kind of in the vein of growth, I just want to celebrate you. You were featured this year in 2023 as one of the 40 under 40 in cybersecurity. How does it feel to be recognized for your achievements in this way? And once you've reached the top of the mountain, where do you go next? What are your next goals?
It felt really good. But unfortunately, I have a bad habit. I think I'm going to be changing that very soon. I almost always say on to the next. So I never really rest on my arms. I just definitely want to grab the next best thing, keep going. And I generally also don't let it get to my head, because I know that there's a lot more work to be done. So I just celebrate for a very short time. And the next thing, I'm snapping my fingers and wanting to go on to do more. And I also think these recognitions are call to doing more as well. So as much as I celebrate those achievements, I'm also recognizing the fact that they're saying do better, do more, keep doing, so that is how I interpret this award. But so speaking about what next, I think I'm ready for a book. This is the first place I'm talking about it, but guys, really, guys and ladies, expect this. Something beautiful is coming very soon.
Well, I am so excited that the news just broke here. You heard it here first. Look for a book for Confidence Staveley in the future. And Confidence, thank you so much for joining us. If they wanted to reach out to you or stay connected, how can they find you?
I am very active on LinkedIn. It's my favorite platform. So my name is Confidence Staveley on there. I'm also very active on Instagram and Twitter. On Instagram, my handle is SissyNerd. And then on Twitter, my handle is SissyNerdTweet. So send me a message, tweet at me, drop a comment. I'm definitely going to see it. So, and then respond if it's a question. I'm very responsive on, especially LinkedIn.
I love this. Confidence, thank you so much for joining us. And you watching at home, make sure you reach out to Confidence and just tell her about what you loved in this interview or something that resonated with her, and make sure you stay connected. Confidence, we look forward to seeing your book in the near future and wishing you the best with your next goals.